The harder you try, the further it runs from you. Let that sink in for a moment. Every dream you've chased, every desire you've clung to, every outcome you've tried to control, you haven't been pulling it closer. You've been pushing it away. There is a hidden law at the heart of the universe, a law that flips everything you were taught upside down. A law that says, what you chase escapes, what you release returns, and what you embody becomes real. You've been told to work harder, strive harder, push harder, but you've never been told the truth that effort born from lack creates more lack. And desperation is the most powerful repellent in the universe. This ancient principle, the backwards law, reveals something so shocking, so counterintuitive, that once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Stop trying, stop forcing, stop grasping, and the universe will obey your commands. Because your power does not come from struggle. Your power comes from your state of being. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. You attract what your energy broadcasts in silence. You attract what you embody when no one is watching. And when you shift from trying to allowing, from chasing to becoming, from lack to already enough, life stops resisting you and begins rearranging itself around you. So take a slow breath and let your shoulders soften. Let your mind settle. Let your heart prepare for a truth that will unravel everything you thought you knew about manifestation. Because once you understand the backwards law, you will never struggle the same way again. You will never chase the same way again. And you will never look at your desires the same way again. Tonight, we explore the secret path where effort dissolves and power finally appears. Welcome to a new way of creating reality. Welcome to the backwards law. There is a moment in every person's life when they sit down, look at their dreams, and whisper to themselves, why is nothing working? Why do I try so hard and still feel like everything keeps slipping away? If you've ever felt this, you're not failing. You're not broken. You're not unlucky. You're simply colliding with a universal law that no one taught you, a law that turns effort into resistance, and resistance into distance. This is the backwards law in its purest form. The more desperately you try to control life, the more life escapes your control. To understand this, imagine reaching for water. Cup your hands gently, and the water stays. But squeeze tightly. Try to hold it with force, and it spills through your fingers instantly. Your desires behave the same way. They cannot be gripped. They can only be allowed. The energetic truth behind wanting. Most people misunderstand desire. They believe wanting something intensely will pull it closer like a magnet. But in the realm of consciousness, wanting and having are polar opposites. Wanting means I do not have, and the universe responds, faithfully echoing your state of being. Yes, you do not have. When you chase love out of loneliness, money out of fear, success out of insecurity, your energy transmits the very frequency of lack, and whatever frequency you broadcast becomes your reality. It's not your goals pushing things away. It's your state of being wrapped around those goals. You cannot force abundance while feeling scarcity. You cannot force connection while radiating neediness. You cannot force success when your energy screams, "I'm not enough." This is why trying when fueled by desperation fails. Not because the desire is wrong, but because the vibration behind the desire contradicts the outcome you want. Trying becomes pushing. Pushing becomes resisting. And resisting becomes distance. The paradox of effort: we live in a world that worships force. Hustle harder. Try more. Push through. Crush your goals. But no one stops to ask, what if effort is not always strength, but evidence of misalignment? Look at nature. Trees don't strain to grow. Rivers don't force their flow. Flowers don't try to bloom. The sun doesn't push itself into the sky. The universe operates through effortless precision. Only humans believe that pressure equals progress. The truth is far simpler. Effort is only needed when you're moving against your true flow. When you're aligned, things unfold. When you're misaligned, things resist. Trying too hard is a sign that your inner state and your desired reality are out of sync. You struggle because you're pushing from lack rather than moving from being. A story you already know, because you've lived it. Think back to a time when you wanted something too much. A relationship you chased. A job you obsessed over. Money you stressed about. A result you tried to force. Do you remember how it felt? That tightness in your chest. That anxiety in your mind. That fear of losing what you didn't even have yet. That energy is repellent. It pushes people away. It pushes opportunities away. It pushes outcomes away. But notice something else. When you stopped caring, not out of anger, but out of release, suddenly everything shifted. The person texted you back. The opportunity reappeared. The clarity came. The breakthrough happened. Why? Because your energy softened. Your grip loosened. Your resistance dissolved. You finally stopped chasing. And your desire became free to move toward you. You didn't win because you tried harder. You won because you let go of trying. Resistance, the silent force behind failure. When you want something too intensely, you unconsciously create tension inside your body and mind. Your breath shortens. Your shoulders tighten. Your thoughts loop. Your emotions contract. Your energy becomes heavy. This contraction sends one message to the universe: I am not complete without this outcome. And the universe responds by mirroring your incompleteness. Resistance forms whenever you attach your worth, identity, or happiness to a result. And as long as you try to force, control, or cling, you hold yourself in a state that cannot receive. Because receiving only happens in openness, and trying happens in contraction. Openness attracts, trying repels. The subtle shift that changes everything. Here is the secret hidden behind the backwards law. Trying stops the moment being begins. When you shift your energy from "I need this to feel whole" to "I am whole." And this desire may come or go. You step into a magnetic state. You become someone who is calm instead of frantic, aligned instead of desperate, open instead of grasping, certain instead of doubting, and then without struggle, without force, without needing to chase, life begins to respond to you. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're finally aligned. The frequency of having versus wanting. There are only two energetic states that shape your life. State 1, wanting, I don't have. I need. I'm missing something, pushes desires away. State 2, being I already am. I already have. I am enough. Pulls desires toward you. Trying belongs to the first category. Allowing belongs to the second. This is why you don't attract what you want. You attract what your state confirms. The beginning of mastery. Here is the truth most people never discover. Your life changes the moment you stop trying to change it. Because trying is an action born from fear. But transformation is an expression born from alignment. When you stop chasing, when you stop gripping, when you stop forcing, you make space for something profound to enter your life. Flow, ease, synchronicity, alignment, grace, certainty. And these forces reshape your reality effortlessly. The same way the tide shapes the shoreline without trying. A simple realization to carry forward before leaving this chapter. Allow this one sentence to settle into your subconscious. My desires are not brought closer by trying. They are brought closer by becoming. You don't need to chase the dream. You need to become the version of you who naturally lives it. Trying is the language of fear. Being is the language of the universe. This is why trying pushes everything away, and why your life begins to shift the moment you stop. There is a turning point in every journey. A moment where everything shifts, not because the world changed, but because you did. It happens quietly, subtly, almost invisibly. One day, you simply stop running. You stop grasping. You stop reaching for something just beyond your fingertips. And in that stillness, something extraordinary happens. Life, which once seemed distant and unresponsive, suddenly begins moving toward you. This is the paradox at the heart of the backwards law. When you stop chasing, life stops running. When you stop grasping, life stops slipping away. When you stop trying to force outcomes, outcomes finally have the space to find you. The energy of chasing creates the illusion of distance. Imagine standing on a shoreline calling out to the waves, begging them to come closer. Your voice does nothing. Your desperation does nothing. Because the ocean moves by its own rhythm, not by your pleading. Your desires operate the same way. When you chase them, you acknowledge their absence. And the moment you affirm this is missing, you push what you want into a further timeline. Chasing is a confession of lack, and the universe, which mirrors your inner state with perfect precision, returns that confession as your lived experience. But the moment you stop insisting, forcing, pleading, grasping, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, everything around you must follow. A subtle shift in identity. People think the turning point comes from a dramatic decision, a big moment, a bold choice. But in reality, the shift happens internally. Instead of asking, "How do I get this?" you begin feeling, "I will be okay whether this comes or not." Instead of gripping, you loosen your hand. Instead of pushing, you soften your energy. Instead of attaching, you release ownership. This shift is tiny, almost invisible to the outside world, but it is seismic within your inner world. Because the moment you stop needing, the moment you stop chasing, you step into the frequency of having. Having is still. Having is calm. Having is grounded. Having is magnetic. And from this internal identity shift, the world begins recalibrating itself around you. The universe moves towards stillness, not motion. You've been told the opposite your whole life. More effort, more results. More hustle, more achievement. More chasing, more reward. But nature tells a different story. Animals that flee from humans are chased further. But when an animal stops moving, when it relaxes, the human loses interest. And the creature becomes safe. Fire grows when you stop blowing on it. Clouds reveal the moon when the wind slows down. Dust settles when the air becomes still. Water becomes clear only when untouched. Stillness, not effort, is what creates clarity. When you calm your inner world, your outer world begins to reflect that calmness back to you. The universe is not responding to your words or your actions, it is responding to your state. The story of every breakthrough you've had. Think about any major moment of manifestation or success in your life. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was opportunity. Maybe it was healing. Maybe it was clarity. Now, ask yourself honestly, did it come when you were trying your hardest, or when you finally surrendered? Nearly everyone realizes the same truth. Breakthroughs arrive after you release the need for them. It happens like this. You chase. You stress. You overthink. You grip tightly. Nothing works. Then suddenly, exhausted, you whisper, "Fine. Whatever happens, happens." And then, as if life was waiting behind a veil, everything begins falling into place. Not because life changed, but because your energy finally stopped blocking the outcome you wanted. Surrender is not giving up. It is opening up. Many people fear letting go because they confuse it with losing or quitting. But surrender is not collapse. Surrender is expansion. Surrender means I release resistance. I trust the timing. I trust my path. I trust myself. It is not the abandonment of desire. It is the abandonment of desperation. Desire is natural. Desperation is resistance. When you desire without desperation, you step into a calm, grounded, powerful state that invites your manifestations to come forward. It is not passive. It is receptive. It is not weak. It is wise. It is not giving up the dream. It is giving up the fight. Life cannot deliver to a closed hand. Imagine someone trying to give you a gift. If your fist is clenched, full of tension, fear, and control, they cannot place anything in your palm. But when your hand opens relaxed, trusting, receptive, you can receive effortlessly. Your energetic state works the same way. A clenched emotional state cannot receive. A relaxed emotional state receives without effort. This is why the moment you stop chasing, you open the door for what you want to arrive. Life was never withholding anything from you. You were simply too tense to receive it. Becoming easy to bless. There is a beautiful, simple truth at the core of all manifestation. People who are relaxed about timing. People who are open to possibilities. People who are not demanding, forcing, panicking. People who trust themselves enough to release control. When your energy becomes soft, life becomes generous. When your energy becomes open, life becomes abundant. When your energy becomes calm, life becomes responsive. You magnetize what you stop chasing. You receive what you stop gripping. You attract what you stop doubting. The reversal point, from pursuit to presence. Presence is the antidote to chasing. When you are fully here, not lost in fear, not drowning in obsession, you return to your natural state. The state where you can receive. This moment, the moment you stop running, becomes the turning point. Life no longer feels uphill. It no longer feels like a battle. It no longer feels like you're wrestling with outcomes. Instead, you feel a subtle shift. Life begins meeting you halfway. Opportunities begin appearing without effort. You feel guided rather than lost. You feel supported rather than alone. This is the moment where everything turns around. And it can happen today. It can happen right now. It begins with one simple truth. Stop chasing. Start allowing. There is a silent belief that almost every human carries the belief that if you plan enough, prepare enough, analyze enough, you can shape the world exactly the way you want. But what if this belief, the belief that you can control life, is the very thing blocking the life you want? What if control is the greatest illusion, and letting go of control is the gateway to real power? The tight grip that destroys flow. When you try to control everything, notice how your body reacts. Your jaw tightens. Your breath shortens. Your shoulders lift. Your mind races. Your emotions contract. This contraction is not harmless. It is a signal. A signal that says to the universe, I do not trust the unfolding of my life. And when you don't trust life, life cannot move toward you. It cannot guide you. It cannot respond to you. You become like someone attempting to steer the wind, desperately trying to manage something that was never meant to be controlled. The truth is simple. Your grip is the barrier. Your tension is the blockage. Your control is the resistance. Life cannot flow through a closed system. Imagine a river trying to flow through a pipe that is pinched shut. No matter how powerful the water is, it cannot move freely if the passage is blocked. Your attempt to control life is that pinch. It restricts the natural flow that is trying to reach you. Life is always trying to bless you. But your fear, your control, your rigid expectations narrow the opening through which abundance can enter. You think control creates safety. But in reality, control creates stagnation. The tighter you grip, the smaller your world becomes. Why the mind craves control? Your mind seeks control for one reason only: fear. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of pain. Fear of repeating old wounds. Fear of losing what you love. Fear of not becoming enough. Fear creates the illusion that if you hold tightly enough, nothing bad will happen. But here is the paradox: holding tightly is what creates the very suffering you're trying to avoid. Fear narrows your life. Fear restricts your choices. Fear removes possibilities. Fear keeps you repeating the same patterns again and again. Control is how fear disguises itself as stability. But it is not stability, it is imprisonment. The universe does not respond to force. You cannot force clarity. You cannot force opportunities. You cannot force people. You cannot force outcomes. Everything in the universe operates by alignment, not pressure. Trying to force life is like pulling on a flower to make it grow faster. You don't help it, you damage it. Life has rhythms. Life has seasons. Life has timing. And when you attempt to control what must unfold naturally, you suffocate the very outcome you desire. Control collapses possibility. Surrender expands it. When you let go, life organizes itself. There is a strange magic that happens when you stop trying to orchestrate every detail. Paths open. People appear. Opportunities form. Events align. Ideas surface. Answers come. Not because you forced them, but because you allowed them. Life is not waiting for you to push harder. Life is waiting for you to release your grip. Letting go is not a passive act. It is an invitation for life to co-create with you. Instead of controlling the river, you learn to float with it, and the river always knows the way. Control is predictability, surrender is possibility. When you cling to control, you limit your life to only what you can currently imagine. But your vision is small compared to what life can offer. Your plan is narrow compared to the infinite pathways available. Your expectations are limited compared to the intelligence of the universe. Control gives you the illusion of predictability. Surrender gives you access to infinite possibilities. Every miracle, every breakthrough, every transformation you've ever experienced happened not because you controlled life, but because, in some moment, even without realizing, you let go. A story you already know, because you've lived it. Think of a time when you tried to meticulously plan everything, every detail, every outcome, every step. Yet nothing went according to your plan. Something unexpected disrupted your timeline. A door closed. A path collapsed. At the time, it felt like failure. But look deeper. Did something better emerge later? Did a different opportunity appear? Did life lead you somewhere you didn't expect but desperately needed? Life wasn't punishing you. Life was redirecting you. Control blinds you to the wisdom of that redirection. Surrender allows you to trust it. The lie of "if I don't control, everything will fall apart." This belief is rooted in trauma, in memories of chaos, in childhood moments where you felt unsafe, in experiences where unpredictability caused pain. But hear this truth gently. You are no longer that child. You no longer need to grip the world to feel safe. You can release the old survival patterns now. Life is not here to harm you. Life is here to support you, guide you, and partner with you. But it cannot help you while you are wrestling with it. Surrender is not losing power, it is accessing higher power. There is a power far greater than your plans, far wiser than your logic, far more intelligent than your strategies. This power has directed galaxies, grown forests, formed mountains, guided ocean currents, and orchestrated your entire life up to this moment. Do you truly believe your mind must micromanage what the universe already knows how to do? Surrender is the moment you stop trying to replace cosmic wisdom with human fear. When you let go, you plug into something infinite. The greatest realization of this chapter. Let this truth settle deep into your awareness. Life is not asking you to control it. Life is asking you to trust it. Because the moment you release the illusion of control, everything you were trying to force begins to align on its own. Your life opens. Your energy softens. Your path clears. Your intuition awakens, your timing sharpens, and step by step, with calm certainty, you begin moving in a way that feels different, lighter, freer, guided, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally stopped pushing at all. There is a place inside you that the world taught you to ignore. A quiet place. A soft place. A place untouched by noise, fear, pressure, or time. This place is not loud. It does not demand your attention. It does not compete with your thoughts. It simply waits patiently for you to return. This place is stillness. And stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is intelligence. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is alignment. Stillness is power. In a world that worships noise, motion, and urgency, the greatest advantage you can develop is the ability to become completely still. Because when you are still, you stop operating from fear and begin operating from truth. Stillness reveals what effort hides when you're in constant motion, running, chasing, thinking, planning. Pushing your mind becomes a storm. Thoughts overlap. Emotions collide. Fears amplify. Possibilities vanish. In that storm, nothing is clear. Effort creates noise. Noise creates confusion. Confusion creates misalignment. But in stillness, the waves settle. The water clears. The truth rises to the surface. Stillness is where you finally hear the guidance that effort has been drowning out. The idea you've been waiting for. The answer you've been trying to think your way toward. The solution that never appears when you're forcing it. The clarity you couldn't find, no matter how hard you tried. Stillness reveals what effort hides. Why stillness feels uncomfortable at first. Many people avoid stillness because the moment they become quiet, their internal world becomes loud. Old emotions rise. Old thoughts surface. Old fears whisper. Old patterns show themselves. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel unfamiliar. It can feel unsafe. But this discomfort is not a sign that stillness is wrong. It is a sign that stillness is working. Stillness does not create the noise, it reveals it. And only by seeing what's inside you can you release it. Just as a deep lake shows its true depth when the surface becomes calm, your soul reveals its truth when your mind becomes quiet. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is allowing everything. People misunderstand stillness. They think it means stopping, withdrawing, quitting, or giving up. But stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is receptivity. Stillness is the moment you stop controlling long enough for life to guide you. Stillness is the moment you stop speaking long enough to hear your intuition. Stillness is the moment you stop forcing long enough to feel what is truly right. Stillness is not the absence of activity. Stillness is the presence of wisdom. In stillness, you're not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you to be quiet enough to listen. The universe moves toward those who are still. Look at every natural law. Water finds the lowest, quietest point. Birds rest in the calmest branches. Light fills the stillest spaces. Seeds grow in the peace of earth, not the chaos of motion. The universe gravitates towards stillness. And so does everything meant for you. Opportunities come when your mind is no longer frantic. People appear when your energy softens. Ideas strike when your thoughts stop screaming. Alignment occurs when your being becomes steady. Stillness is a magnet. It draws toward you what running could never catch. When you become still, you expand in stillness. Your awareness widens. You see more possibilities, not fewer. You perceive more paths, not less. You sense more opportunities, not more problems. Stillness expands your consciousness. And when your consciousness expands, your reality expands with it. This is why monks, mystics, masters, and sages across thousands of years all practiced stillness, because the quiet mind is the doorway to higher intelligence. Your greatest breakthroughs will not come when you are thinking. They will come when you are aware. Thinking is loud. Awareness is silent. Stillness transitions you from thinking to knowing. The paradox: when you stop looking, you finally see. Have you ever noticed how, when you desperately search for something, your keys, your phone, an idea, you cannot find it? But the moment you stop looking, it appears. Stillness unlocks this same paradox in every area of life. The harder you look for answers, the more blind you become. But when you become still, your natural clarity returns. The answer was always there. You just weren't in the right state to perceive it. Stillness sharpens perception. Stillness unlocks intuition. Stillness amplifies inner knowing. Stillness opens the doors that effort keeps shut. A realization that changes everything. There is a profound shift that occurs the moment you realize it is not your job to force clarity. It is your job to create the internal space for clarity to arise. When you stop demanding answers, answers come. When you stop debating your path becomes visible. When you stop trying to fix everything externally, your internal alignment fixes everything externally. Stillness is not passive. Stillness is the highest form of intelligence. The power of being, instead of becoming. You've spent much of your life trying to become better. Become smarter. Become stronger. Become successful. Become worthy. Become enough. But stillness asks a different question. What if you already are? What if you don't need to become anything? What if you only need to remember who you truly are? Stillness returns you to your essence, the version of you before fear, before conditioning, before doubt, before self-comparison, before the noise of the world drowned out your inner wisdom. Stillness is where your original self lives, and reconnecting with that self is the beginning of all transformation. What you seek is seeking you, but it cannot find you in motion. Imagine your desires as a traveler searching for you. Your dreams know where you are meant to be. Your destiny has the map. Your abundance is already on its way. But if you are constantly moving mentally, emotionally, energetically, your desires cannot catch you. Stillness makes you findable. Stillness allows what is meant for you to land in your life. Like a feather settling on a calm pond. Like a whisper heard in a quiet room. Like a truth finally recognized in the silence of your soul. The essence of this chapter. Allow this truth to sink into your subconscious. Stillness is not the absence of power. Stillness is the birthplace of power. Being still does not mean stopping your life. It means aligning with life. It means stepping into the flow instead of splashing against it. It means receiving instead of chasing. It means hearing instead of forcing. In stillness, you do not shrink, you expand. You do not lose control, you release the illusion of control. You do not become less, you become limitless. Stillness is where life begins to speak. Stillness is where your intuition awakens. Stillness is where your true path becomes visible. Stillness is where the universe finally whispers, "I can guide you now." Every transformation in life begins with a quiet funeral, a letting go, a release, a soft but powerful surrender of the identity that has kept you safe but small. This is the step most people avoid, because it requires confronting a truth that is both liberating and frightening. You cannot become the next version of yourself while holding on to the identity built by your past. The person you are becoming cannot grow from the beliefs that limited you, cannot rise from the fears that shaped you, cannot thrive inside the patterns that once protected you. To evolve, you must allow the old you to dissolve. Your old identity was built from survival, not intention. Your old self was not a mistake. It was a masterpiece of adaptation. It was formed by childhood experiences, old wounds, unspoken fears, social conditioning, and the expectations of people who never knew your true potential. That version of you learned how to survive, how to fit in, how to avoid danger, how to navigate chaos, how to find approval. But survival is not the same as expansion. Your old identity was perfectly designed for who you were, not for who you are becoming. If you cling to that identity, those beliefs, those stories, those patterns, you lock yourself inside a frequency where your manifestation cannot reach you. Your new reality cannot arrive while you are still loyal to your old self. The prison of familiar patterns. Humans cling to the familiar even when it hurts. You repeat the same reactions, the same fears, the same emotional loops, because they feel safe, not because they are right. You stay in old patterns because they are predictable. They give you a sense of control, a sense of identity. You know who you are when you operate within them. But identity, when built on old pain, becomes a cage. Every time you say, "I've always been this way. This is just who I am. I can't help it. I'm not that kind of person," you reinforce the bars of that cage. Those sentences are not truths. They are shadows of a past self trying to stay alive. Your old identity fears your evolution because your evolution means its extinction. Letting go is not losing yourself. It is meeting yourself. Letting go of the old you does not mean becoming a stranger. It means becoming someone deeper, truer, more aligned. You are not abandoning yourself. You are returning to yourself. You are peeling away layers that never belonged to you. Layers of fear, layers of doubt, layers of failure, layers of conditioning, layers of "I'm not enough," layers of "what will people think." Beneath them is your real self, the one that existed before the world told you who to be. Letting go is not destruction. It is unveiling. Why the old? You cannot manifest the life you want. Your manifestations match your identity, not your dreams, not your words, not your effort. Your identity. If your identity says, "I am undeserving," you cannot receive abundance. If your identity says, "I am unlovable," you cannot sustain connection. If your identity says, "I am powerless," you cannot attract opportunity. Identity is the frequency that shapes all reality. You cannot manifest a life that contradicts who you believe you are. This is why letting go of your old identity is the most radical form of manifestation. You are not changing your life. You are changing the self that your life is responding to. Letting go begins with honesty. To release the old you, you must first see it clearly. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when fear takes over? Who are you when you feel unworthy? Who are you when you think no one will choose you? These versions of you are not shameful. They are simply outdated. They are echoes of someone who did not yet know their power. Look at those versions with compassion, not judgment. Acknowledge them, thank them, and when you are ready, let them rest. The emotional death before rebirth. Identity cannot be released intellectually. It must be released emotionally. There may be grief. There may be confusion. There may be fear. There may be a sense of emptiness, because for the first time in your life, you are not operating from old programming. This emptiness is not a loss. It is a clearing, a sacred space, a fertile ground for your new self to take root. The old you must die emotionally before the new you can live energetically. This is the price of evolution, and it is worth it. The freedom on the other side. Once you loosen your grip on the old identity, something miraculous happens. Your patterns shift. Your decisions elevate. Your boundaries strengthen. Your intuition awakens. Your energy rises. Your fear dissolves. Your vision expands. Opportunities that once ignored you now gravitate toward you. People who once overlooked you now feel drawn to your presence. Outcomes that once seemed unreachable now appear with synchronicity. Why? Because you have stepped into a new frequency, and frequency is everything. Life does not give you what you want. Life gives you what you are. When you let go of the old you, you stop being the person who repels your desires and become the person who receives them effortlessly. A declaration for the soul. Before moving to the next chapter, let this truth imprint itself upon you. I release the version of me created from fear, and I rise as the version of me created from truth. Repeat it softly. Let it echo through your mind. Let it settle into your heart. Let it resonate with your soul. This is the moment your transformation becomes irreversible. You are not who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. There is a moment in every spiritual awakening where you stop being the character in the story and become the one who is watching the story unfold. This moment is the beginning of true power. Most people spend their entire lives entangled in their thoughts, reacting to every emotion, chasing every fear, believing every negative story their mind creates. They don't realize one simple truth: you are not the thought. You are the one who observes the thought. This shift from identification to observation is the difference between being controlled by your mind and commanding your reality. Your thoughts are not you, they are. Weather thoughts move through consciousness the way clouds drift across the sky. Some days the sky is stormy. Some days it is clear. But none of those clouds are the sky. Most people mistake the clouds for the sky itself. They think, I am anxious. I am afraid. I am worthless. I am failing. But the awakened mind says, there is anxiety. There is fear. A difficult thought is passing. This simple shift changes everything. Because when you stop merging with the thought loses its power over you. Thoughts control you only when you believe they are you. When you step back and observe, the spell breaks. The observer is the true self. Your mind is loud. Your emotions are intense. Your fears are convincing. But behind all of that noise is something still, ancient and powerful. A quiet awareness, a presence, a witness. This witness has been with you from childhood until now. It watched you learn, struggle, hurt, grow, fall, rise. It has never been harmed, never been broken, never been threatened. It is the eternal part of you, the part no circumstance can touch. When you awaken the observer, you awaken your deepest power. The power to choose how you respond instead of reacting on autopilot. This is where manifestation begins. Not with affirmations, not with vision boards, not with effort, but with awareness. Reality changes when you stop fighting it. When you're trapped inside your thoughts, you react, you resist, you panic, you try to control everything. Resistance creates turbulence. Turbulence blocks the flow of life. But the observer does not resist. It watches. And the moment you watch without resisting, your internal energy shifts and the external world begins to respond differently. This is why enlightenment teachers say, when you change your state, reality rearranges itself, not because the world magically transforms, but because your perception, your decisions, your vibration, your actions come from a completely different level of consciousness. When you stop fighting reality, reality softens. When you stop reacting, opportunities appear. When you stop resisting, solutions reveal themselves. The observer is the doorway to a reality that responds to calm instead of chaos. Your mind is a machine. You are the master. Your mind generates thoughts just as your heart beats and your lungs breathe. It is automatic. It is mechanical. It is relentless. You cannot stop it, but you also do not need to obey it. The problem is not the thought. The problem is your identification with it. If a thought says, you are failing, and you observe it, the thought dissolves. If a thought says, you're behind in life, and you watch it without believing, it loses all power. But if you become the thought, you feel its pain. You act from fear. You shrink your potential. Observation breaks the cycle. Observation disrupts programming. Observation frees you. When you watch your thoughts instead of fighting them, they pass quickly because you are no longer feeding them. The quantum truth observation shapes reality. Modern physics discovered something mystics knew centuries ago. The act of observing changes the outcome. Particles behave differently depending on whether they are being watched. Your life works the same way. When you observe a fear, it weakens. When you observe a desire, it strengthens. When you observe yourself clearly, You stop repeating unconscious cycles. Your awareness is not passive. It is creative. It is directive. It is the force that collapses potential into form. The moment you become the observer, you step into a higher dimension of influence. Practicing the observer, a simple, life-changing method. Sit still for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Bring attention to your thoughts. Watch them without judging. Do not try to stop them. Do not try to change them. Simply notice each one appear and disappear. Then ask quietly, who is noticing these thoughts? That who is the real you? Not the anxious voice, not the fearful voice, not the insecure voice, the awareness behind all of it. Practice this daily and you will feel a shift inside you. More calm, more clarity, more confidence, more power, more freedom. You will begin responding to life from consciousness, not conditioning. This is how reality begins to obey you instead of overwhelming you. The observer is the beginning of mastery. When you can watch your mind, you no longer drown in it. When you can watch your emotions, you no longer become them. When you can watch your patterns, you can finally break them. The observer does not eliminate your humanity. It liberates it. It gives you the power to choose, to reset, to redirect, to realign, to recreate your world from a higher level of awareness. This chapter marks the beginning of a new relationship with yourself, one where you stop living as the mind and start living as the consciousness behind it. You are no longer the character lost in the script. You are the author, watching, guiding, creating, and life responds to the one who watches far more than it responds to the one who panics. There is a subtle force in the universe that most people never learn to use. It is quiet. It is invisible. But it bends reality in ways effort never can. That force is non-resistance. To the ordinary mind, non-resistance looks like passivity. It looks like giving up. It looks like doing nothing. But in truth, it is one of the most powerful states a human being can access. Because resistance blocks life, non-resistance aligns with it. Resistance is tension. Resistance is fear. Resistance is forcing outcomes, chasing results, and fighting reality. And what you fight, fights you back. But non-resistance is surrender to the flow of what is. Not surrender as weakness, but surrender as wisdom. It is the inner knowing that you don't need to grip life with fear, because life moves more smoothly when you stop trying to control every detail. Life pushes back when you push first. Think about a moment when you desperately wanted something. A relationship, an opportunity, a result, and the harder you tried, the further it slipped away. That is the backlash of resistance. When you cling, you repel. When you chase, you push away. When you stress, you block clarity. The universe mirrors your state. A mind full of force attracts obstacles. A mind full of fear attracts confusion. A mind full of tension attracts more tension. But a mind that relaxes becomes magnetic. It draws to itself the people, ideas, opportunities, and solutions that force could never deliver. Non-resistance is not doing nothing, it is doing differently. People misunderstand this part. Non-resistance doesn't mean you lie down and let life happen to you. It means you take action from a place of alignment. Instead of fear, you still move. You still create. You still pursue your goals. But you do it without internal struggle. Your energy doesn't leak. Your focus doesn't scatter. Your emotions don't sabotage you. Imagine two people trying to cross a river. One fights the current, exhausting themselves, jumping from fear to frustration. The other reads the water, moves with the flow, lets the river guide their direction. They reach the same destination, but one arrives drained, while the other arrives empowered. That is the difference between resistance and non-resistance. Why non-resistance makes you magnetic. When you stop resisting, your nervous system relaxes, your breath deepens, your mind clears, your energy softens. In this state, creative ideas begin to surface. Intuition becomes louder. Perception sharpens. Your inner world and outer world become synchronized. Nature responds to coherence, not chaos. When your energy is calm, open, and receptive, you shift into a frequency where possibilities expand. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Reality feels it. This is why enlightened teachers often say, do nothing and leave nothing undone. The doing nothing refers to inner non-resistance, not outer inactivity. Your actions become fewer, but sharper. Your timing becomes natural, not forced. Your decisions come from clarity, not pressure. And so life unfolds with less effort and more ease. The universe follows the relaxed mind. Imagine holding sand tightly in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips out. Now open your palm. The sand rests effortlessly. This is how life works. Tension closes your hand. Non-resistance opens it. When you release the internal pressure to force outcomes, results begin to flow more naturally. You've felt this before. That moment when you finally stopped worrying about something and suddenly the answer appeared. That moment when you let go of someone and they returned with clarity. That moment when you quit overthinking and the universe handed you the solution you were chasing. This is not coincidence. It is physics. It is energy. It is the mechanics of consciousness. Non-resistance lets you see reality clearly. Resistance distorts perception. It makes you see threats where none exist. It makes you exaggerate problems. It makes you misinterpret situations. It makes you act from fear instead of wisdom. But in non-resistance, a shift happens. Your mind quiets. Your emotions settle. Your awareness expands. You begin to see opportunities you previously overlooked. You hear what people truly mean, not what you fear they mean. You sense the right timing for action. You stop reacting and start responding. This clarity is what turns ordinary minds into powerful creators. When you stop fighting, you become the flow. Non-resistance is not about giving up control. It's about stepping into a higher form of control, self-control. You stop wasting energy on pointless battles. You stop forcing people to be who they are not. You stop wrestling with circumstances you cannot change. You stop repeating cycles that drain you. You become fluid, adaptable, aware. You move with life, not against it. You allow the universe to work with you instead of pushing it away with fear. This is when life begins to feel lighter. Your path becomes clearer. Your spirit becomes freer. And without realizing it, you step into a quiet, commanding power that others feel instinctively. They sense your calm. They sense your stability. They sense your magnetism. And they respond to it. Non-resistance is the doorway to everything you want, whether it is peace, success, love, strength, creativity, clarity. All of it flows more easily when you stop resisting life as it is. Non-resistance opens your mind. It opens your energy. It opens your future. It is not weakness. It is alignment. It is intelligence. It is spiritual strategy. Because the universe does not obey force, it obeys coherence, and nothing creates coherence more powerfully than the state of inner non-resistance. There is a hidden doorway in life that most people walk past every day without ever realizing its power. A doorway that does not open when you push it harder, but opens effortlessly the moment you stop pushing at all. This doorway is letting go. The mind resists this truth. It believes that holding tighter creates safety, that wanting more creates momentum, that chasing harder creates results. But the universe does not follow the logic of force. It follows the logic of flow. And flow begins the moment you release your grip. Wanting creates distance. Allowing creates proximity. There is a law woven into consciousness as old as existence itself. What you cling to moves away from you. What you allow moves toward you. It sounds backward. It sounds illogical. It sounds impossible. But look at your own life. The person you chased lost interest. The opportunity you forced slipped away. The outcome you tried to control became chaotic. The desire you obsessed over only grew more distant. Because desire rooted in lack broadcasts the frequency of I do not have. And the universe mirrors that vibration back to you. But the moment you let go, genuinely release the tension. Release the fear. Release the grasping, your energy shifts. You move from I need to I trust. From I lack to I already am enough. And life responds accordingly. Letting go is not losing it, is opening. People fear letting go because they think it means surrendering the dream or abandoning their desire. But letting go is not losing. Letting go is opening. It is releasing the tightness that blocks the flow. It is removing the inner pressure that suffocates possibility. It is unclenching the fist so the universe can finally place something in your hand. The river cannot enter a closed container. Light cannot enter a sealed room. Blessings cannot enter a clenched heart. Letting go is not giving up. It is giving space. Space for clarity. Space for alignment. Space for timing. Space for the universe to move on your behalf. Instead of you trying to force everything alone. Life reveals its answers in the space you create. Think of the moments in your life when answers arrived only after you stopped searching. When love arrived the moment you stopped trying so hard. When opportunities found you after you finally relaxed. When clarity appeared the second you released the mental battle. When the solution became obvious only after you stepped away. This is not coincidence. It is universal mechanics. Your mind becomes foggy when it grasps. Your energy becomes tangled when it forces. Your path becomes invisible when you panic. Letting go dissolves the fog. It untangles the energy. It reveals the path. The result was always there, but resistance made it impossible to see. Letting go doesn't create the answer. It reveals it. The universe responds to relaxed certainty. There is a profound difference between wanting something and being ready to receive it. Wanting comes from lack. Receiving comes from certainty. The moment you shift into inner knowing, even lightly, even gently, your energy changes shape. You stop gripping. You stop doubting. You stop interfering. You begin to walk through the world with an unspoken confidence. The kind that says, I don't chase. I don't force. I don't beg. What is meant for me will find me. What belongs to me cannot be lost. This certainty is not loud. It is quiet. It is still. It is magnetic. And the universe responds to it like a tuning fork, responding to a perfect frequency. Letting go makes you findable. When you chase, you are emitting noise. Internal noise. Energetic noise. Emotional noise. That noise makes you difficult to find. But when you let go, you become still. When you become still, you become clear. When you become clear, you become magnetic. It is not you who seeks it, it is the universe that seeks you. Letting go is what makes you visible to the opportunities that match your frequency. It is what makes you discoverable to the relationships meant to enter your life. It is what makes you receptive to the blessings that have been waiting for permission to approach. Letting go aligns you with divine timing. You have your timing. The universe has its timing. They rarely match. And every time you try to force your timeline, you create friction. But when you let go, not as performance, not as technique, but as genuine surrender, you align with the timing that is already perfect. Life rearranges itself in ways you could never plan. Paths open that your logic could never predict. People appear that your mind could never foresee. Letting go puts you in harmony with the intelligence that is always moving beneath the surface. You stop rowing against the current and finally allow the current to carry you. The art of letting go, a practice of soft release. Take a breath. Slow. Deep. Bring to mind something you have been gripping tightly, a desire, a fear, an expectation. Feel where the tension lives in your body, your chest, your stomach, your shoulders, your mind. Now, imagine opening your hand, not physically, but energetically. Imagine letting the desire float upward like a lantern rising into the night sky. You are not discarding it. You are merely releasing the tension around it. You are saying, I trust, I allow, I surrender the how, the when, and the form. Feel the softness. Feel the openness. Feel the peace. This is the beginning of receiving. The paradox fulfilled. You receive when you stop chasing. This is the paradox at the heart of the backward law. You get what you want when you no longer need it to complete you. You receive what you desire when you let it go without fear. You find what you seek when you stop searching with desperation. Letting go is not the end of creation. It is the beginning. It is the moment the universe says, now I can give you what you've been asking for. Because now you are finally open. There is an enemy more subtle than fear, more silent than doubt, and more destructive than failure. Most people never recognize it because they've been taught to worship it. That enemy is forced effort. From childhood, you were told, try harder, push more, don't stop, work until it hurts. No one told you that this very mindset is the reason you feel stuck, burned out, confused, and disconnected from the flow of life. No one told you that effort, the desperate kind, creates the very resistance that blocks the result you're trying to achieve. You were taught to fight for your dreams. But no one taught you that fighting weakens you when the battle is against your own inner tension. Effort is a signal of misalignment. Effort, by itself, isn't bad. But forced effort, effort born from fear, scarcity, or panic, is a signal that something is out of alignment. You push when you don't trust. You force when you don't flow. You struggle when you're disconnected from your inner intelligence. Forced effort is not a sign of strength. It is a sign of internal disharmony. It means your actions are moving faster than your awareness. Your fear is moving faster than your intuition. Your ego is moving faster than your spirit. Where there is alignment, effort becomes light, natural, fluid. Where there is misalignment, every step feels heavy. Every action feels forced. Every attempt feels like walking upstream. Your body knows the difference. Your energy knows the difference. The universe knows the difference. Effort creates tension. Tension creates blockage. Imagine trying to thread a needle with trembling hands. The tighter you grip, the harder it becomes. The more you panic, the more impossible the task feels. That is what forced effort does to your life. It shakes the hand. It blurs the vision. It tightens the muscles. It blocks the flow of wisdom, timing, clarity, and intuition. Effort becomes the barrier because the energy behind the effort is rooted in fear. Fear of failing, fear of being behind, fear of not being enough, fear of losing something valuable. But creation does not happen in fear. It happens in spaciousness. You cannot receive while you are contracted. You cannot manifest while you are tense. You cannot think clearly while your mind is wrestling itself. Effort restricts the channel through which the universe tries to help you. The universe follows ease, not strain. Nature never strains. The river does not fight gravity. The tree does not force itself to grow. The flowers do not chase the sun. They simply open and the sun finds them. This is the language of the universe: grace, ease, alignment, flow. Effort is the language of the ego: push, force, control, fear. This is why struggle so often leads nowhere. Why trying harder sometimes makes things worse. Why forcing outcomes exhausts you long before progress ever arrives. The secret is simple. What is forced collapses. What is aligned expands. Effort comes from the illusion that you are alone. The deepest root of forced effort is the belief that everything depends on you, that you must do it all, plan it all, control it all, fix it all, force it all into existence. This belief creates an unbearable burden, and the body breaks under it. The mind collapses under it, and the soul becomes suffocated by it. But here is the truth. You are not alone in creation. You are not the only force at work. You are not meant to carry the universe on your back. Life is attempting to help you. Possibilities are trying to meet you. People are being positioned for you. Opportunities are moving toward you. But you're tight. Forceful energy creates a wall those blessings cannot cross. Let go of the belief that you must do everything, and you create space for the universe to do something. Trying too hard traps you in the wrong timeline. Forced effort comes from fear. Fear creates rushed decisions. Rushed decisions place you on timelines that are not aligned with your highest potential. You've felt this, saying yes too quickly out of fear of missing out. Forcing a relationship because you fear being alone. Taking a job out of desperation instead of intuition. Acting impulsively because you fear falling behind. These actions do not bring progress, they bring detours. They delay what is truly meant for you because you are operating from panic instead of presence. Trying too hard is not a sign of dedication. It is a sign that somewhere inside you do not trust life. Effort blocks inspiration and flow state. Your greatest ideas never come from strain. They arrive in moments of calm in the shower, on a walk, in silence. When you're relaxed. Why? Because creativity does not thrive in tension. Wisdom does not emerge in chaos. Intuition does not speak through noise. When you force effort, you drown out the deeper intelligence within you. But when you relax, when you soften, when you create space, you allow inspiration to return. And inspiration is infinitely more powerful than effort could ever be. One moment of true inspiration can achieve more than a year of forced struggle. The cure for effort is trust. Trust is not passive. Trust is power. When you trust life, your energy softens. Your actions become precise. Your intuition becomes louder. Your timing becomes perfect. You stop pushing and start aligning. You stop forcing and start receiving. You stop panicking and start perceiving. You move from the heavy vibration of fear to the high vibration of knowing. This shift changes everything. The right people appear. The right ideas surface. The right opportunities align. The right timing unfolds. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped blocking it. When you release effort, you step into mastery. Effort belongs to the beginner. Ease belongs to the master. The more awakened you become, the less you force. The less you push, the less you fight. True mastery appears when your actions arise from clarity and stillness, not fear and pressure. This is why enlightened beings move gracefully even in chaos. They are not pushing life. They are allowing life to move through them. When you release effort, you become calmer, clearer, more intuitive, more magnetic, more aligned, more powerful. And life bends toward you instead of you trying to bend life. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when the old way of living collapses. Not because life becomes impossible, but because your old strategies can no longer carry you forward. You fight. You force. You push. You struggle. And then one day, you realize the truth. You have been at war with life, and life was never your enemy. This realization marks the beginning of freedom, and the doorway into that freedom is radical surrender. Surrender is one of the most misunderstood words in the human language. People fear it, avoid it, resist it, misinterpret it as weakness. But surrender is not defeat. Surrender is the end of inner conflict. Surrender is the moment you stop fighting what already is. Surrender is the return to your natural power. Radical surrender isn't passive. It's not resignation. It's not giving up on your dreams. It is the highest form of intelligence. The wisdom to stop resisting reality so you can finally work with life instead of against it. Resistance is the true prison. Before you can understand surrender, you must understand what it liberates you from. Resistance. Resistance is the invisible force that keeps you stuck, small, and suffering. It is the tension in your body when life doesn't match your expectations. It is the tightening of your heart when things don't go your way. It is the mental fight against every circumstance you dislike. Resistance says, this should not be happening. Life should be different. I refuse to accept this moment. But resistance does not change reality. It only strengthens your suffering. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. You cannot solve what you refuse to face. You cannot move forward while gripping the past. The situations you resist most are the ones that hold your greatest lessons. Freedom begins the moment resistance ends, and resistance ends the moment you surrender. Surrender is returning to the flow. Imagine a river flowing effortlessly downstream. It bends around rocks. It softens the edges of mountains. It never resists the obstacles before it. Now imagine fighting that river, swimming against its current, trying desperately to push upstream. That is what resistance feels like. Surrender is not drowning. It is not giving up. It is not letting the water consume you. Surrender is turning your body in the direction the river is already moving. It is choosing flow over force, alignment over tension, wisdom over ego. You are not meant to battle life. You are meant to learn its currents and move with them. Radical surrender is powerful because it is honest. Surrender begins with a simple but profound acknowledgement. This moment is already here. You don't have to like it. You don't have to approve of it. You don't have to pretend it's perfect. You only have to see it clearly. Once you stop resisting the truth of the moment, your mind becomes open again. Your energy becomes available again. Your intuition becomes active again. Surrender brings you out of denial and back into reality, the only place where transformation can happen. You cannot change a situation while simultaneously rejecting its existence. Surrender is the honesty that frees your power. Surrender is not passive. It creates space for intelligent action. When people hear surrender, they imagine sitting still and waiting for rescue. But surrender is not inaction. Surrender is the end of wrong action, action driven by panic, fear, or resistance. It creates space for right action, action guided by clarity, intuition, timing, and alignment. The warrior fights blindly. The master waits for the perfect moment. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is the strength to act from a higher awareness instead of reacting from fear. When you stop forcing outcomes, you begin to sense the path that was always meant for you. Choices become clearer. Timing becomes sharper. Life begins to cooperate. Because you are no longer fighting the current, you are flowing with it. Surrender is the gateway to trust. You cannot fully surrender if you do not trust the intelligence behind life. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to predict the future. You don't need to control the unfolding. You simply need to trust that life is not random and you are not abandoned. Everything you have survived has shaped you. Everything you have lost has redirected you. Everything that has ended has made space for something deeper. Trust is the soil in which surrender takes root. Without trust, surrender feels terrifying. With trust, surrender becomes liberation. The practice of radical surrender tonight. Allow yourself to soften. Slow your breath. Relax your shoulders. Let your mind loosen its grip. Bring to mind something you have been fighting, a situation, a relationship, a memory, a fear. Feel the tension around it. Feel the resistance in your body. Feel the pressure in your chest, your jaw, your thoughts. Now, imagine placing that entire struggle into an open pair of hands, not physical hands, but the hands of life itself. Then say gently, inwardly, I don't need to fight this anymore. I surrender this moment to the wisdom of life. Feel the relief as the weight begins to dissolve. Feel the space as resistance loosens its hold. Feel the quiet that follows surrender. This quiet is not emptiness. It is the beginning of clarity, the beginning of intuition, the beginning of freedom. Surrender is the first step, not the final one. The moment you surrender, you do not become weak. You become receptive. You do not lose control. You lose the illusion of control. You do not collapse. You expand. Surrender is the act that unlocks the next chapter, the chapter where effort becomes ease, fear becomes faith, and struggle becomes flow. It is the turning point between the life you've been living and the life you are meant to create. Tonight marks that turning point. You have stopped fighting reality. You have let go of resistance. You have opened the flow. The old self battled life. The new self collaborates with it. And this collaboration is where true freedom begins. Take a slow breath. Feel the stillness around you. Feel the shift inside you. You didn't just listen to an audiobook tonight. You stepped into a different way of existing. A way where you no longer fight with life. A way where you no longer grip outcomes with desperation. A way where you no longer beg the universe for what is already yours. Tonight, something inside you softened, quieted, opened, and in that opening, you awakened a power you've carried your entire life, but never fully understood until now. The power of surrender. The power of allowing. The power of becoming magnetic instead of desperate. You now know what you chase runs away. What you release returns. What you embody, you attract. And what you surrender to begins to rearrange itself for you. This is not the end of your transformation. This is the beginning. Because once you understand the backwards law, you can never go back to forcing life again. You will notice the tension you used to live with. You will feel the resistance you used to ignore. And you will see how often you tried to control what was always meant to unfold naturally. From this moment forward, you walk differently. You breathe differently. You manifest differently. Not from fear, not from lack, but from profound, unshakable trust in life's intelligence. A trust that says, what is mine will find me. What belongs to me cannot be lost. And what I surrender to will rise to meet me. Let this new identity follow you into your days and nights. Let this wisdom become the rhythm of your life. And when anxiety tries to return, when fear tries to take over, when old patterns try to pull you back into force, come back to this truth you never needed to chase. You only needed to allow. If tonight opened something inside you, if you felt even one moment of clarity, peace, or awakening, then your transformation is already happening. To deepen it, to expand it, to fully step into the version of you that creates reality effortlessly. Watch the next audiobook I've handpicked for you in the description or pinned comment. It's the perfect continuation of this chapter of your life. A deeper layer of mastery, a higher version of your mind, a calmer version of your spirit. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt seen, understood, or guided, subscribe to Sleep Success Audiobook to continue receiving powerful, life-changing teachings like this while you rest, heal, and upgrade your identity. This channel is not just content. It is a sanctuary for your evolution, a home for your awakening, a quiet place where you remember who you really are. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening with your heart. And thank you for stepping into your new life with courage, openness, and surrender. Your transformation has already begun. The universe is already responding. Now, allow it.